So for those of you who watch my channel any at all know that in December of last year, a lot of my video equipment was stolen from me. Now, most of my YouTube videos are made on the Galaxy Fold, the original one. Surprising, right? Yeah. And it was kind of rough not having the go-to tools that I've become so accustomed to. So one of the main things for me was to find a device that could more or less replace what I use the Fold for. Not just for the video aspect, but for all of the unique traits that the device actually had. And surprisingly, that device was the Mate XS.
Now everybody scream enough respect to the X. Enough respect given.
Yeah. If you guys are into mobile devices at all, you may know that the Mate XS is a Chinese phone that during the Trump administration was banned from using Google services. But I got one because it was really what I called my unicorn, my white whale, if you would. It was a device that I really wanted to experience. Though I had no intention of using it as a daily anything. I just wanted to have it for what the device was, a different way to use a foldable. But in the absence of an actual foldable, once my original Fold was taken, I decided to look at this guy more, just see if I can get off the ground and how it might be able to benefit me. And yeah, let me say, though it took some work, the Mate XS being used in America, with all the bans against it, is actually not a bad device. First, let's speak on the look of the device. When it's closed, it looks like any other slab mobile device. Now, the cool thing about it is, it's not too big. When you compare this to something like, let's say the S22 Ultra, which is my daily device, or let's say a iPhone Max 14, 13, and what have you, those things are pretty much unwieldy if you really want to think about it. Yeah, my power is low. This thing fits comfortably in the hand. The screen dimensions for when it's closed are actually pretty good. And the way it is designed, it is all screen around the whole device, at least on this side. This side is actually the screen folded over. The opposite side mimics that by being curved as well. And it just feels really nice in the hand. No hard edges, just very smooth plastic all around. Even the back, this is part of the screen. You would be hard pressed to know that unless you knew what phone this is. You would simply ask, why is this divided here with your device? And you know, I came to really appreciate this. With the regular foldables, you have a narrow bar when it's closed. And in the case of my Fold 1, it was a very small screen. Now, that screen did allow me to reach the top and bottom of the device when it was closed, much easier than, say, the Fold 4 or this device itself. But though this device is is wider than my Fold, it isn't that hard to reach where I have to go. And it's just wide enough that I don't have to open the device to view anything or watch anything if I don't really want to. I can really use the device in this particular mode all day if I chose to. Now, the issue with that is the device begs to be opened. Now this is how the device wants to be used. And right off the bat, you can see why. This screen is gorgeous. And note, to those of you who are all about the crease in the middle, there is absolutely no crease. This foldable, I can honestly say, is an amazing experience. Now, using it as I have been doing for the past few weeks, trying to set everything up, I see where they are coming from when so many of them have said they prefer this type of foldable, what I call the outer fold, as opposed to the more traditional inner fold. The lack of the crease in the middle, the very thin, light design of it, even the side here, that with the cameras, that if you chose, depending on what hand you use, I use my left hand for most, it does act as a handle of sorts to give you a better grip on the device. I know how the device has flipped itself around to meet the need of the user. You're left-handed, hold the main little handle part here on the left side, and the device conforms accordingly. Some other devices don't like to flip themselves a full 180 to fit what the user needs. This device has no such qualms at all. And it does make for a very, very neat user experience. So just for size comparison, here we have the Z Fold 4 and my new Mate XS. The Mate XS screen still dwarfs the Z Fold 4. I honestly thought they'd be a similar screen size, but this one does have the better screen, not bigger, but the better screen. You can tell even on camera, 120 hertz refresh rate as compared to the 60 hertz refresh rate. Here the colors pop more. This one, they're more muted. Of course, that is because of the type of screen. This is a foldable glass. This is a plastic type material. But note, this has a crease and this does not. So both offer something really impressive for what they are. Now don't get me wrong, this is the better phone, better experience overall, but this is no slouch either. Now you can put the phone in a holster if you so choose. I mean, you just need to get over the apprehension or the anxiety of it all. This phone holster is holding the physical screen, at least at the bottom angle of this phone. But once you get past that, once you do it once or twice and you realize the screen is not being damaged, you simply have to wipe it off, because these things do tend to get a little dirty when you use them often. But yeah, it really isn't as bad as I thought it would have been. I really thought that the screen would have ripped and tore. As you can see, I'm not even using this thing with a case, trying to really see how durable it actually is. And using it as I have, pick it up, put it down, lay it on the table, throw it in my pocket, there is no damage to the screen at all. A little dust here, some fingerprints there, but that's it. Whatever they use for this screen, as long as you don't, put this phone through some kind of ringer, it will be fine. Well, before you get to use this beautiful screen and this beautiful phone, you have to set it up. And it's the setup of these devices that is a pain in the ass. Now, Like I said before, these phones do not come with Google Play services. So there are a lot of things that will not work without it. You'd be surprised at the amount of apps that rely on Google Play services. Now, the funny thing is, though the phone doesn't come with Play services, you are able to just download it right there and add it to the phone. Just like my Carrier Hub, which was required to get T-Mobile and stuff to work with the device as well. Those applications are out there, and it's that kind of work you need to do to set this up to work in the US. The other issue is there is no official Play Store. So a lot of these apps that I have, I had to find ways to download them and do trial and error, found what worked and what did not. Now the phone does offer what they call the Huawei App Gallery. Now in the App Gallery are many apps that, like I said, instead of having to go look for it yourself, it will actually sync you to the website that has the actual app. Now, in most cases, it's APK Pure. I don't know if I do this one. It seems like this one is linked directly. Yeah, it is. But in most cases, it's an app called APK Pure that will sync to this application and download the app. App download progress, download to the application. Okay. Yep. Now, with that, there are still some apps that will not work. So another thing that I found here was G-Space. Now, I hear that there's a few apps like this, but what this does is actually somehow link you to this little page here that has many applications you can download. But the main thing about it is, if you go into any of them, you hold one of the apps and you press upgrade, it takes you to the Play Store. Now, the funny thing is, this is the official Play Store. From here, I can download any app I particularly want. It's all here for you to download and play and use. Now, the trick is, when you use one of these apps, as you can see, like with my Gmail, you have the little icon that this app is from the G-Space. Now, that doesn't really mean much. It's pretty much saying this app here is a link to the app that is in the app. So it's an app running within an app. And it does sometimes slow things down, like when you launch certain things, like let's say I was to launch, let's go over here. This is a prime example. It says opening here, so it launched the G-Space app, then it went into launch the Amazon Music app. But now I'm in the app. Now, one of the things that also happen here, let's say I was to play this, let's just turn it down. When it's playing, let's say you were to slide it down, you know how it doesn't say the app that it's playing in. It says G-Space, because that's where it's playing from. It's playing within the app, only it has shown you, I don't know, the bus started to make noise. It is what it is. But yeah, it really is a labor of love to set up this device to be used, at least in the Americas, without the Google Play services. Because Huawei does offer their own apps, but none of those apps actually work here. Like, they have their own version of FaceTime. It's here somewhere. I just kind of threw it to the side. Their own search. They have a lot of little things that work with from Huawei to Huawei. The Link Now, things along those lines. But those things don't work here. So as often or as much as they've tried to find ways to rectify the issue where you don't have all your Google apps and they've made their own versions to them, they're pretty much useless if no one else around you has a Huawei device, because they're made like iPhones and Samsung devices to link to each other for a better experience that way. Again, this device to work in the US takes some time, some patience, because just going through the various methods of applying apps to the device is very hit or miss. As I was saying, you have the G space, you have the app gallery, you have things like, if I can find it here, pedal search, and all of these things will allow you to search for apps, as you can see right here, top apps, and it connects to various methods online to get apps to the device. The issue is, depending on where the app comes from, it may or may not work. For example, what I found is many a game I get from the G Space app, for example this right here, Professor Layton, a game I think I would have enjoyed, but when I downloaded from G Space, an error occurred, this app will close. And I find that happened with many games that I get from this particular method of getting apps to the phone. Now, games I get from App Gallery seem to work just fine. For example, this guy here, Skyforce.
Mission begins.
Works fine, looks great. I mean, this screen is just big and beautiful and immersive. It's pretty much one of the best ways I've had to play games on this device, or on any device, if I'm being honest. It's not even a 120 hertz screen. I can only imagine what the Mate XS2 would look like. But that is something to consider when getting apps on this device. Depending on where it comes from, it may or may not run properly. I'm not sure why games don't like to run when you get them from the G Space app, because that is the official Play Store. I'm thinking it has something to do with the achievements. The phone probably can't connect to that Google service for the gaming, where it tracks your gaming across devices and all of that. And so I guess the game just begins to crash. Another issue when using this device is, due to how you get the apps do not automatically update. So you have to go into the area where you've got the app, in this case APK Pure, and manually update the apps yourself. Now, APK Pure will tell you which apps can be updated, so you really just scroll through and you select the ones that you want, and one by one it will update the apps for you. Now, of course, if there are apps that you would rather not get from the G Space app, there's always web apps. Now, before I found out about G Space, I did need to use my Google Photos. So I went online, and sure enough, you can assign into your Google account right online. There is no ban there. So I have all of my Google Photos here, and the photos and vids that I actually take on the device do still upload to my Google Photos. Now from here, if you so choose to, you have all of your other Google apps as well as web apps. So I can still use Maps and use Google Docs and YouTube. They're all here for me to use. Now, one that does not work on this is Meet. Meet just knows that this isn't a Google authorized device and will not properly allow me to use the app. I can't get my contacts, nothing like that. Now, if someone was to send me the link, I'm sure I'd be able to join a Meet conversation. sensation. But aside from that, you can get access to your Google applications as web apps, at least, on this device. So this is the camera of the Huawei Mate XS. Now, as you guys know, my Fold was used to do most of my YouTube recording. So as a major test for this device, as a replacement for my Fold, of course I have to do some recording on it. This is what the camera looks like. The setup is kind of not odd, but the setup is again has my anxiety a bit up, as to hold the phone in the stand you have to squeeze the screen. Now I'll use my other device here just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Here is the Huawei Mate XS in my tripod, and as you can see, it is being held on the folded part of the screen. But that's just the way it goes. It's a foldable phone that folds the other way. But as long as you're able to, get past that apprehension, it does do a pretty decent job. The screen is not, or the viewing area is not the biggest, but it's more than large enough for me to see what I'm actually recording. But yeah, so far so good. It's something I can definitely work with. The viewing image is bigger than what I would see on my Fold when I had it, unless of course I had the Fold open. And with this phone, simply because there's only one camera at the back, when it's open, I would be able to see myself, because there's no front-facing camera on it. And so this is the only way to actually see what I'm recording, because of the way they decided to do the camera setup with this device. Now, if it was the Mate XS2, there is a hole punch camera on the other side of the camera. I'm not sure how good that camera is. This camera is actually pretty good for what it is for an older device. Huawei does know what they are doing with these type of things, So far, so good. It's definitely something that can be used to at least record. Now let's see how it handles the editing aspect. So now that the recording is done, normally I would go into Power Director, and this is the primary app where I would edit my video and upload them to YouTube. But as you can see, this device cannot access my Google Play Store information. So though I do have the premium membership for Power Director, I'm unable to access it on this device. So on this device, I did want to try and use Huawei's video editor. Now, I've never used this thing before. Now, from what I've read, this is a really good video editor, and the fact that the device comes with it without you having to pay any type of premium whatsoever is a feather in Huawei's hat to me. Now, being that this is a foldable device, there's no way I would want to actually use the app in the folded way. So you unfold, and then you see you have so much you can do. It's actually pretty full featured. So in that aspect, I am able to edit my videos on this device. So I might have to learn an entirely new photo edit or video editing tool. I'm not opposed to it because it does look actually really good. And it's always good to know how to use more than one. Set your cover, add your music, there goes your split, your quick cut, your filters, they are all there. So I am going to try to edit this particular vid on this device and see exactly how it works. Now, one of the main issues, like I said before, is can this thing export to YouTube? And I'm not sure it can. So this might be a situation where I have to save it, upload it to Google Photos, as I am able to do that, and then from there export to YouTube. An extra step to be sure, but if it works, not only will I still be able to use this as my replacement for my lost fold, but I'll actually get to learn an entirely new video editing tool, and between the two of them, be that much better at what I do. So I'm not particularly upset at this turn of events when it comes to having to use this device in that way. Now, Google Nearby Share does not work with the Huawei Mate XS. Again, no Google services. And my Galaxy 22 or Ultra, it does have Samsung Quick Share, but again, that doesn't work with the Huawei Mate X. I did have to find a app in the Play Store called Share It. It seems to be doing a pretty good job. I'm transferring a 1.13 gig file. It took 1 minute or 1.5 seconds. There's the file. It's actually files to be used in this video that I'm making right now. But this was just to show you how, like I said, to get things to work, you need to find workarounds. But there are workarounds. Apple has Apple Share. I think that's what they call it. Samsung has Quick Share, and overall Android has Nearby Share, none of which would have made this transfer possible. But third parties have ways to make things like this happen. And again, it allows phones like the Mate XS, a phone that is not really suitable for use outside of China, actually pretty usable. I was curious if the phone was able to connect wired, kind of like a DeX mode, and it does have something here. This is the first time I'm doing this, so let's do this together. I press agree, hide notifications, enable by default. Let's do that. Go over to the TV here. So it's not a desk or DeX mode per se. No, that's not the real name of it. It's a desktop mode, but you are able to connect to your device to watch things and all of that. Unfortunately, it does show video in a letterbox form, so that's not the best. And the phone did turn off. I wonder if the show itself was going to turn off like it did when it was just on the home screen. Well, the show keeps playing, so I guess that's a cool aspect. I wonder if I close up the phone. It still doesn't hit the wide screen like it would be on the phone itself. But it's nice to know that it does easily connect, at least wire to the device, or to a device. Now you have the ability to mirror the phone, but there's also a desktop mode here. Let's turn this back on. You go into here, you change that over, and there you see the options, which I thought it did have. Desktop mode. Simulate a computer experience. Just touch that. Wait, hit there. And there we get wired projection. We have to agree once again. Now it's saying you need your keyboard and your mouse. But note, it looks very much like a Windows PC. Windows 95 to be exact. Now going through what it says here, we have the desktop mode to show your keyboard and your mouse, because that's par for the course. But you can also use apparently a virtual keyboard and mouse. I guess use the screen of the phone as your inputs. And switch projection mode. So you just tap the button at the top here to go from mirroring your phone screen to the quasi Windows 95 desktop mode. Let's get started. We have our options here. Use the touchpad, touch to one finger touch left, 2 fingers click right, 2 fingers slide, pinch, and hold to drag and move objects around. And now look at this amazing touchpad. And sure enough, I can use the touchpad to click on allow. My apps are kind of off the screen, so let me do this one here right in the middle, and that lines everything up, and I think we're good. And it looks really good. I do wish you could change the color of the mouse reticle, because it's kind of just there. And sure enough, it does bring up the virtual keyboard. Let's search cars, and there goes cars. Let's see what we have, and boom. Let's see, it says if I hold it, I can move things around. Let's see, and sure enough, hold the screen, move the finger, and you have complete control. And this is very much like Dex. I doubt it's as full-featured as Dex. Of course, Office is there, and this is what I really need. And there we have desktop mode on Huawei Mate XS. I'm not gonna lie, I like how this looks. I'm pretty sure you can use your phone as the touchpad while using a physical keyboard. A large touchpad works wonders. And being that this video again is seeing if this Mate XS can successfully replace my Galaxy Fold in certain areas. I would say, at least in this particular area, it's doing a pretty good job. Aside from that, the only other thing I used to do on my phone was play games. Here I am playing Atomic Heart on the Mate XS, and it works fine, even though it says you need Google services. Viewing angles are great. You can see here, no matter which angle I view the phone from, it looks great. I don't know what kind of screen this is, but the reflections are to a minimum. Aside from that, I just use the phone with everyday activities at the gym. Here you see it's doing its due diligence, and I'm not upset with it at all. I wouldn't fully recommend using a device like this unless you are willing to, go through the trouble of getting the whole thing set up. But if you do, the beautiful screen really makes the device worth using. There isn't really much out there, at least not in the US, so you do get some bragging rights there when you unfold this thing. It really is something to behold. Of course, there is always the security issue. I don't know how true all of that is, but if that is something that concerns you, again, you might not want to try to use or set this thing up. But for me, it works great for what I need it for. And yeah, this video was edited on this device. And with that said, my name is NG, the Neon X, and using the Mate XS as a replacement to my Galaxy Fold, this is what I'm into.